everyone, Paul Sam. Welcome to part 4 of our Model Factory Hero 112th Lancia HF Delta Integrale Evolution 92 video build. It's a mouthful, that one. It really is. So we are steaming ahead with this. Another 2 parts done. Another 14 hours of footage to get to this stage. So this is a couple of different stages together because I kind of skipped ahead on the instructions, which I'll explain in a little bit. Because we're going to deal with the rear suspension, front suspension and brakes, which we don't need yet, but it makes sense to do them all together so we'll get the colours, continuity right, weathering and what have you. So we're going to do that today. So today's going to be prep, prime, paint of all those parts, including the chassis itself. And then in part 5, we'll start putting all that together and then start getting the fuel tanks in and a bit of hosing and what have you. Hoses. But a lot of work. It really is a lot of work. And test fitting is the biggest thing I can tell you to do. Seriously, test fit everything multiple times before and after paint before you commit to any glue. And parts, make sure you got the correct parts, because as we found out here, we've mixed some up, but luckily I had a niggling thing in the back of my head, not a super glue part in. And luckily we can switch them back out. And like I said, if I hadn't told you, you'd have never known. So there we are. So let's get in, because there's a lot to get done. And let's get these parts all ready. Subscribe to the channel, click the bell notifications, get notified of our latest videos, give the video a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and leave a comment. I do read and appreciate every comment you guys and girls leave behind. I may not reply to them all, but they are all appreciated. And there's a link in the description of the video that takes you to a big long list of all handy videos and a lot of the products I use in my videos. You now have the chance to support the video content creation by using Patreon or the PayPal me link in the description down below. All the videos always remain free to watch. This is just your chance to help support the videos. Okay, so we're back, and as usual, the fluorescent marker pen is out, highlighting parts that we're going to require today. So today we're going to concentrate on the chassis. We're going to get that primed and painted up, and then we're going to deal with the rear differential housing, drive shafts, suspension arms, suspension strut, springs, and the brakes themselves as well. And then in the next part, we will start assembling everything. So we're going to get most of these parts all prepped, primed, painted, and all ready to go. So pretty much similar process to the earlier parts, prepping parts. So step 1 is go through, make sure we've got all the parts we require. So we're doing that front section I just showed, and then we're going to do this as well, which is much further on the instructions, but it's dealing with the suspension and brakes, so we might as well do it all as a job lot together. So I'm just marking this out so I know where I'm at. So this way you can keep track of where you're going, what you plan to do, and as I do with every video, I always set a goal of where I want to get to that day. So we've got parts to clean up: resin, PE, white metal, you name it, we've got it. So with the resin parts, we're going to give them a quick cut with the razor saw to get rid of any excess resin parts, and a quick sand with a UMP 400 thinning stick to get rid of any excess resin. Any of the curved areas, like on these fuel tanks at the back, we'll get our 240 sponge on there and just very gently clean them up. The resin's pretty clean, but there are some marks to get off here and there, so just have a good look at it all as you're going around. As I say, if any excess resin needs cutting off in large pieces, the razor saw really is your friend. Sprue cutters you can use to a degree, but I think when it's this close to the part, you risk damaging the part. So a couple of seconds with a razor saw and you'll soon have that part off. Now here's the chassis, just as it is. I'm just test fitting this part to see how it looks. There is dozens of holes to drill today. I'm just checking this is straight with the ruler. It looks pretty straight. It needs a bit of adjustment here and there. But overall, for a white metal part, it's pretty straight. Some locator pins are a little bit bent, so I'm going to grab my Tamiya bending pliers and just straighten them up a little bit. Like I say, test fit on these kits. 100% test everything before and after paint, before you commit to glue, to make sure it does fit in place. So like I say, loads of holes to drill in the chassis, lots of cleanup to do. I'm not going to bore you all to death showing every single piece, but we're going to go around with the white metal with the files we were using last time. These are just the Tamiya basic files, cleaning up any of the major rough areas, and then we're coming with a thinny sponge from UMP and just give everything a nice light clean up. And then we'll come in with our vinegar, washing up liquid, and UMP airbrush cleaner at the end to give everything a good clean up. Now, I've had one very generous viewer donate the money to buy a magnetic tumbler. So thank you very much, buddy. A very, very kind person left a comment on one of my last videos, and he has offered to pay for the tumbler to make my life easier. So thank you very much, Peter. Much appreciated, buddy. Your support is phenomenal. So thank you, buddy. So in future parts, after these next two, hopefully you'll see a tumbler cleaning the part up and make your life a little bit easier. So you've just seen there we did the suspension struts, so they needed a bit of tricky cleanup. The brake discs, 4 in total, just under 100 holes on each one need drilling, so 400 holes to hand drill. A good couple of hours work. I think I used a 0.6mm drill bit and my pin vise, and I sat there. Thankfully they are pre-marked to make life easier, but it is a very long drawn out process, but worth doing in the long run, because these brakes look great at the end when they're done. So again, you know, put some music on. I'm in a live stream here, one of my morning live streams, chatting away while I'm doing it, so that whiles away the boring tasks like this. I've zoomed in a little bit so you can see as well. Like I say, just find the pre-marked hole, and then no real pressure. We don't want to snap the drill bits, just let the drill do the work. White metal's nice and soft. Just be careful of your fingers. Make sure they're out of the way, because trust me, it hurts if you stab yourself. Like I say, just under 90, I think it's just under 100 holes, about 96 holes on each disc. And then every other part that needs locating points in, all needs drilling out. So you can use various size drill bits. Multiple pin vices will be good here. I've only got the one that I'd like to use. That's my Tamiya one. So I had to keep swapping and changing drill bits, but it's not the end of the world. And just go smaller first if you're unsure. Widen it up later. Rather than committing fully to a huge hole, go with the smaller drill bit first as a pilot hole. And then just clean it up. And there we go. Lots of holes to drill everywhere on this, and I mean dozens and dozens of holes. The chassis itself has a good couple of dozen holes that need drilling in it, and we're going to kind of cover it in a little bit. I'm not going to go fully in depth and show every single hole, but I'm just trying to go a little bit more in depth than I usually do without boring the bejesus out of everybody. Like I say, test fit. Drive shafts, testing those, and then a start on the holes in the chassis. They are all pre-drilled. They are there as an indentation, so it's pretty obvious what needs drilling. But I've gone through the instructions and gone step by step to make sure I'm drilling the correct holes. And there we go, there's our rear differential housing in. We've got the fuel tanks and what I believe is a water, what was it? I can't remember what fluid it was now. Ethylene was it? I think it might have been ethylene mix tank that's on the back as well. Don't ask me, I know nothing about cars, I go about what the guys tell me. But loads and loads of drilling required. You can see my fingers are filthy. Hopefully by the end of this, once we get our magnetic tumbler, it'll clean the part up a lot quicker and easier for us. But for now, for this part, we are left cleaning all these parts up. So we've got the mounting brackets for the 2 tanks in the boot. As you see, I went small on the drill bit, didn't fit, go the next size up. And this time, there you go, it fits perfect. So that's good. Like I say, we're going to get everything prepped, everything pre-drilled as much as we can. As you'll see later in the video, not everything is pre-drilled. There are some that are spot later on I've not drilled. But, you know, it's not the end of the world to do 1 or 2. But for here, we are going to try and drill as many as we possibly can. And like I say, if you drill the hole and a piece goes in it, test fit the piece to make sure it fits. And that way you know later on when you come down the line to fit everything, you'll have no fitment problems whilst you've got nice freshly painted parts. But a lot of holes. Be prepared to drill a lot. There's a lot to do, and like I say, please test fit every part. Trust me, it's well worth doing now than later. So again, like I say, I want to go in depth on these. These videos are a bit more long drawn out than normal. I had 14 hours of footage off this episode of building, and I split it up into 2 35-minute videos, whereas normally I try and get that to 1 if I could. And I probably could have quite easy on this, but I thought it was important to show the process of what needs doing, because this isn't your average build. It's the first time I've ever built one, and as I said, I want you guys to come on the journey along with me. We will share the pain, but all we can do is our very best, and that's what I plan to do. So hopefully I'll cover a lot of it and answer some questions. If you have any questions about the build along the way, please comment down below and I will try and answer for you. I'm not an expert. Like I said, it's my first time working on all these kits. It are very daunting, but so far I'm really enjoying it and eager to crack on with the build. So there we go, that's that plate in the back as well. And more holes, like I say, loads of holes to drill in the chassis, whatever you want to call it. So pay attention to instructions, pay attention to the parts, look where they go. The instructions are pretty well laid out. It does show quite clearly what needs drilling where. And then underneath this differential housing, we've got to drill a hole to go through because there's a screw that goes through that later. And then I'm just working my way through the instructions methodically, looking for holes that need drilling and drilling them as I go. Like I say, if you're not confident on the drill size, go small. Go smaller, you can always open it up later on. It's harder to make a bigger hole smaller when you've done it too big. Yes, exactly, I said that, you heard me. And then all these parts need drilling out. Now these parts here, these have got resin pins that are going to go through to hold everything in. So you need to drill through a little bit more so the pin locates home, but you don't want to drill right through the part. So just go through the one side and then just give it a light little drill just to go into it a tiny little bit. And then we can add a little dab of sear glue in there later and that'll hold the part in. Then these parts that need some hose joints in, we're just going to lightly drill in for now. Like I say, you can make them deeper or bigger later. But parts like these on suspension and that, you just want to go through it a little bit to the side, not completely through. And then these hubs need drilling. There's lots of holes to do. Seriously, I can't over say how many holes need drilling today. It's dozens. So your drill bits and your drill are going to get a good workout. So make sure you get a good set of bits. These shank bits are linked in my Amazon store. I find them stronger than most other bits. So yeah, they're well worth going. As you can see here, a lot of the parts are going to need fettling. I do open up the holes on the side of this part later on as well. And it's going to need shaping into place because it's massively misshapen. But our goal today is just get stuff cleaned up. And then all our calipers. The calipers on this are lovely, really, really nice. They're going to be painted in black as per the video I've found. We'll chat about that video in a bit as well, which has helped immensely today. And then back on to our discs as well. So lots of work, lots to do. What we're doing here is we're drilling out the holes in the rear part of the disc, which we haven't drilled out because they're a different shape. They're not round, the holes. So we're left them and just putting the rear part of the hub in to test fit it. Everything's cleaned up as much as it can. This has been left in that white vinegar we used last time. And then we hit it with the toothbrush and the white vinegar to try and completely clean it up. And like I say, I was struggling for reference parts on the chassis. Pictures of this car are quite few and far between. Completely accidentally on YouTube, while looking for another video, I spotted in the sidebar, I've recommended a video, and it's a very good video on this car. Seriously, show me the colour of the chassis, all the running gear, engine, the lot. So I'll put a link to it down in the description of the video below. If you're even interested in this car remotely, watch the video. It's a bit cheesy. It's a cheesy 80s video with some dodgy music on it, and it's definitely a flex from Lancia on what they can do, as well as a weird snorkel thing on the car. But anyway, so there's the car's clean with the parts clean with white vinegar. I've also cleaned them with washing up liquid, and then we've rinsed it all off with UMP airbrush cleaner as well. So triple clean, all cleaned up, and I'm just gonna OCD line all these up to show the parts required for today's 2 videos. So quite a lot of them, but you know, the white vinegar doesn't work too bad at all. It does clean the parts up pretty well. They're a lot better than they are out of the box. So it's going to be interesting to see what the tumbler does, because from what I've seen, the tumbler will clean them up absolutely spotless. So it should be with me on Monday, which is tomorrow. It's Sunday here for me. I've ordered some burnishing fluid as well to help clean them. And I believe the pins come with the burnisher, the polisher, so the tumbler. So hopefully we can try it on some parts. And I think a few of the lads want me to clean some parts up for them as well. So interesting to see. We actually see quite a lot of parts today. Not all here. We've got some hose unions to put on as well. But we've got some really nice, big, satisfying parts to do today. Now, fun fact, those drive shafts there are the wrong ones. We put the wrong ones on the front of the engine. We found out later, I think it's in part 4, when I start putting things together, that, yeah, they're not the right ones. So I have to switch them out. Luckily, I didn't commit to any strong glue on the engine. I used a little bit of PVA so I can get them back off. And we did the old switcheroo, and to be honest, if I hadn't told you, you would never have known. Onto the chassis itself now. Chassis, chassis, whatever you want to call it. I call it a chassis. We've got some plug points to cut off. So again, our JLC razor saw coming into good use. No pressure. We don't want to break anything here. I'm just going to get the major part of the resin off and then clean it up with a sander. And we're going to run this sander all around the chassis and clean it all up, because there are a few wisps of resin here and there, and it'll do no harm just to go around and give everything a light sand to kind of deburr it all. And like I say, on with the holes. Lots and lots of holes. I'm just drilling these now because we're going to paint this up today, so I thought I might as well drill them all now. But these are mostly for the interior parts, which we'll do in subsequent parts down the line. And then, yeah, just give everything a good clean up. We'll degrease it with some U&P airbrush cleaner on this, as well as the other resin parts. And then we're going to get it all primed up. So I'm just eyeing up how these calipers fit on the rear hubs, and there's 2 holes in the back, so we'll drill these out. Could have done doing this beforehand, but to be honest, I didn't spot them. Like I say, along the way we have missed some of the holes that needed pre-drilling, but hey ho, not the end of the world, we can do it now. And then there's where the carrier point for the caliper fits on the back. Nice positive fitment on this, they really are. And then we can start assembling some of the parts together as well. So the rear disc, the rear inside part of the disc, can be attached to the hub itself. You can see those shaped parts, they angle together the correct way. So there's a flat edge one side. Some of this new glue which I've been using, this is a gel glue I got off Amazon. There's a link in my Amazon store. 2 bottles of this, 20 grams each, for £6. And along with the super glue nozzles I've been using for a while, which are also linked in there. It's good glue, it sticks really well, and it's cheap as well. Really, really cheap. So we just locate these together. A generous amount of Integale on the back, and then squeeze everything together. Make sure it's all together. Make sure everything's straight and symmetrical and even, and we're good. And we just repeat that all the way around for all 4 discs. So it's nice doing big parts like this. The engine was a very satisfying thing to build, but these are very prominent parts. The suspension struts, the brakes, all the components on the rear differential are very interesting parts to do. So everything's cleaned up, pre-drilled, ready to go, and we're going to mount everything now for primer using a combination of friction fitted cocktail sticks to these crocodile clamps to any other way we can mount them as required. So lots of clips needed. Back over the spray booth, I've got my Badger paint mixer mixing up that U-Pol acid etch primer. We've got the 0.35 apex at about 18 psi. And we're going to put down a couple of coats of this stuff. It's completely unthinned. No real finesse needed. It's not really a primer coat. I guess it's just like a base coat. In a way, it's a weird. What is it? It's just an etch coat, isn't it? Just preparation coat. I don't know. Whatever we're going to do. So we're just going to put down a fairly thick couple of coats of this. It sprays beautiful. Seriously easy to spray. Lays on really well. It dries unbelievably fast. And as we saw with the engine, no issues with any paint coming off at all on any of the white metal parts. We'll spray all this now. Lots to do. It does stink. So make sure you go to a good spray booth, a good respirator, put gloves on, make sure you go an open window. There's no pets or kids in the room with you, or your wife or partner, whatever. And yeah, as you can see, look, you can not hose it on, but it will go on nice and thick. And it just gives a real nice preparation coat ready for our primer, which we're going to do down the line. Again, I'm not going to show you every single part being primed, but just to give you an indication as to what's going on. Cheap as well. It's £14 for half a litre, so a good cheap can of very, very good etch primer. So I just thought I'd show a few of the prominent parts. Like I say, we'll prime these, leave it overnight, come back the next day, and then most of the parts are going to get Mr. Surfacer 1500 black, including the resin. We're not using this on the resin, we'll just use the Mr. Surfacer, and then we can come back and paint everything up. That anti-roll bar it looked like at the back that was all bent before, that said it was going to drill out, that is red on the real car. So that's going to get primed in Tamiya pink primer. But like I say, today's goal is to get these all prepped in the Atches Etch. Now this giant chassis, a bit tricky to paint, so I opted to hold on to the back for dear life. We've got Mr. Surfacer 1500 thinned with Mr. Hobby leveling thinner, 0.35 apex, 18 psi. I'm going to put a couple of coats down, building it up. And where I've been holding with my fingers, we'll let everything dry, place it side on the bench facing me, and just spray it while it's on the bench. I've done it before with the larger projects, and I'm sure we can do it on this. I've sped this up because you don't want to see this really boring process. So I thought I'll speed it all up, and you can see the first coat going down nice and easy. Like I say, we can come back for a second coat, get all our interior, because it's all going to be silver. I've seen the colour. I've kind of picked my colour out already. I'm going to mix it, and we'll get to that a little bit down the line. So the resin's nice and easy to paint. Just be careful, don't be dropping it everywhere. It is very, very thin resin. As you can see, where I've been holding my finger, once it's dried, we lay it on its side. It dries ultra fast, and then we can just very carefully paint each side until everything is covered. So, simple way of doing it. Something this big is difficult to hold. It really is. It sounds absolutely perverse saying that, but it's not the way I mean it. But you know, you have to figure out these things for yourself. How is the best way to do it? And put your lid on your bloody airbrush, because you spill paint like I've just done there, because I am an idiot. All these little parts, again, a couple of coats of Mr. Surface are black. And here we go. We're going with TS100 mixed with TS17. So it's like a dark, lightish gunmetal colour, semi-gloss colour. I was hoping that'd give us a bit of a sheen, which it didn't really, with Tamiya silver. And it gives us this colour. And I think I've got a pretty bang on. If you watch that video in the description, you'll see the colour. And I've seen pictures of York Hankinen's 92 car that's been unrestored, and that is silver as well, because a few people have seen build this have painted it white, and I don't think it was. By the look of it, they were silver, and to top it all, it's glossed silver as well from the factory. So that's what we're going to do here. So I did hope this being a semi-gloss, we get a nice shiny sheen off it. And metallic-wise, we did. But as an actual gloss, it wasn't glossy enough from the pictures of the real car. So we will clear coat it later as well. TS sprays, wonderful. Thinned with Tamiya lacquer thinner retarder. 18 psi as usual. 0.3 apex, or is it the 0.2? It might be the 0.2 actually we got here. And again, I've let it dry. I'm just going to come in, pick up and spray where the fingers have been on top as well. So nice and easy, nice and simple. The beautiful colour. Absolutely bang on the colour I wanted. It looks very accurate to the real car colour itself. I'm glad the interior is not white, because I think that's a little bit boring. I think the silver with the silver roll cage, which is what it will have, contrasting with all the other parts, will look quite good. And then, like I say, we've got all the parts we primed the day before, and we are giving them a couple of light coats of Mr. Surfacer 1500 black. And as you can see, I have mine pre-mixed in a separate bottle. Thinned with Mr. Hobby level and thinner, about 60-70%. And yeah, it's a very nice primer. I wish Tammy did a black primer, but this is good enough anyway. Lots of parts to do, so again, we're not going to go through every single one. Just going to show some of the more prominent parts being painted. And as you can see, it lays down beautiful, especially over that acid etch primer. It's the perfect kind of base coat for putting other primers down. It is an absolute joy to paint over. So if you build one of these, just go grab a bottle of U-Pol, number 8, and it'll do the job just fine. Of all the stages of modelling, this is my favourite. I love painting, always have. I can't find it kind of therapeutic, and this was a good, probably hour and a half paint session. I was live on one of my streams, so I had a camera in here, people watching me paint as well, but a good hour and a half session. That's all dried now, and we're going to put down LP5 on everything that needs LP5. Again, brake calipers, unsure of the colour. That video that I've got in the description showed that, and I can see nearly colours of everything else. So we've got a majority of parts going to be LP5 semi-gloss black, and then various metallics from Mr. Hobby, Tamiya LP and Tamiya TS to paint as well. So just go around, give everything a light coat, a couple of light coats. To be honest, the LP5, you can put it a bit heavier. You can push it quite far, the LP5, especially over a black primer. It will take a little bit of stick, but it just gives a nice, real nice semi-gloss black. I think it's probably the best semi-gloss black colour you will find at the minute, personally. And yeah, through the UP Apex, 0.35, 18 psi, no drama at all. Onto our fuel tanks and the rear diff. And there we go. Now, I've got to try and remember colours now. and I don't have my colours to hand unless I can find my instructions, which I can feel under the bench. There we go. There's my cheat sheet. 2 seconds, peeps. So I know that right away. This is Mr. Hobby Superfine Silver, and I know exactly to buy a brand new bottle. So this was my plan to use on the rear differential and some of the major, larger parts. So it's thinned with a rapid thinner, this one, because I think it makes the metallics look a lot better. That's a general consensus everywhere. So the Superfine Silver Mr. Hobby Super Metallics, these are wonderful paints. Highly recommend these if you've not used them before. They are so well pigmented. They're by far the best metallic paints I think you can get. Just a very short, small colour range, or about 7 colours, and only 6 of those are really available in the UK. So as with the previous part, I've gone through the instructions on all the parts, and I've written down the colours I wanted to use. I've sped everything up here. But for the majority of it is Superfine Silver. Anything different, I will tell you along the way. So as I say, I've sped it up because you don't want to see me painting every part, because that would be just boring. As you can see, just the coverage of this paint, it's wonderful, really nice. We do often quite have stock at UMP Retail. I'm not sure if we do at the minute. This is me giving my chat a thumbs up over on YouTube. We do normally have these in stock. Whether we have at the minute, I don't know. You'd have to go and look at the current stock levels. But I highly recommend getting these. They are a superb paint. Very high quality. Brake discs. Now, we are painting these in Mr. Hobby Super Metallic Stainless. That's what we're going, the Super Stainless. I don't know the numbers, but there's only 6. So just look for the Super Stainless. And they're all supers. Super Iron, Super Stainless, Super Gold, Super Fine Silver, Super Titanium. I've gone with the stainless because I've got a plan. We're going to do similar to what we did to the exhaust in the first part and see how that goes. Now, these hubs I've done in LP38, flat aluminium from Tamiya. I just thought it'd give a bit of tonal variation with all the other shiny parts, and if anything's going to be a matte finish, in my eyes, it'd be this. Whether that's right, I don't know. And for the drive shafts, we're doing LP19 gunmetal on the edges. The centres we're going to do in, I believe, let me try and remember. I'm going to cheat. I've got my notes. 2 seconds. Look at this. We've got a script and everything. It's Mr. Hobby Super Iron was what you used. So what I did is spray the ends in the gunmetal, let that dry, and then sprayed the centres very carefully with the Super Iron like this. And then we can come back and mask for the rubber gaiters later on. And that negates the need for any silly masking, just to do that centre part. With some careful masking, we can get it done. Like I say, another wonderful colour. Just look at the sheen. You can see the sheer sheen of it. Now, for the suspension struts, they are a light goldy titanium colour. And nobody really makes the appropriate colour. So occasionally I mix my own. So we've got some Mr. Hobby Super Metallic Titanium. I believe it's 205, judging the bottle there. And the Super Gold. And I'm just going to mix this to my eye until we've basically got a silver colour with a gold sheen to it. Now, I did go a little bit too far. I made it a little bit too gold, so I went back and added a bit more of the titanium later. But I do this from time to time and then keep this in a separate bowl. And I've always got a titanium gold colour, and it looked really good in the end. The suspension, once they were all washed together with the springs on, which the springs are another nightmare later on, they looked really good. But I did go a little bit heavy with the gold here, so I added a little bit more titanium off camera. And a great colour, really, really nice. Thinned with the rapid thinner again. Then you knock everything over. Watch this, and then you knock this pot over. You ready? You ready? Whoa, 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 whoa! Nearly, easy, Tiger. Didn't drop it though, did I? Thankfully, I would have cried over that, wouldn't I? £6 of paint on the bench. As you can see, this is the original gold colour. It's just a little bit too gold for my liking. So I went back, added a bit more of the titanium, and then it gives us that silver, goldy finish, and it does look fantastic. Again, watch the videos on the car. I found some great pictures of a restored replica, so I'll put those in the description as well. 178 pictures of it, which is wonderful reference, so you can have a look at those as well. And then this is that, is it an anti-roll bar, anti-sway bar? One of them. We've got some LP7 red. Now, calipers are dried. They've got a beautiful Brembo indentation in them. So, lacquer paints. So, we've got some water-based UMP primer, a fine paintbrush, and we are going to paint inside the letters, like so. be as neat as possible, but we can wipe off any excess later. And then put that to one side to dry for a good half hour or so. So there's one, we'll do all 4 of them and come back in a little bit. And then there's our beautiful painted chassis. And we've got some Mr. Hobby UV Super Clear. And we're going to put a few coats down. Now, be wary of this. I had a very strange reaction in places. Look at that rear inner arch there, on that rear arch. And watch in a minute, you'll see a very strange reaction happen. Where it kind of reactivates the paint. Look at it there, you can see it's gone dark. So it kind of like ate into the paint a little bit. So I clear coated it, left it, and it did this in a few spots, and I had to come back later and repaint and re-clear coat it again. So bear that in mind if you're doing it. So here's the caliper. I've got some Vallejo airbrush cleaner, which in my opinion is rubbish to clean your airbrush, but it's great for getting water-based paint off stuff. So a little bit on a cotton bud, and some gentle rubbing, no real pressure. We're just gently rubbing over the top, and that will remove any paint on top of the surface and leave the white writing in the recessed areas. And these look great. Really nice calipers. There's a choice between gold, which I've seen on some of the cars, or black, but that video showed black. So that's where I've gone for. And that looks great. Nice, simple touch. And then we've got a lot of masking still and a lot of parts as well. So again, I'm not going to bore you to tears. You can see all the parts masked up in a bit. Just using the references, I've gone masking up all these parts. And here we are on the spray booth. So we've got some LP70 gloss aluminium from Tamiya on the suspension. So the coilover adjustment cup. What do we call it a cup? What was it called? The adjuster. And then I've masked off the top of the strut inside. So that stays that goldy colour, and the top then goes bright silver. The exhaust was painted in Mr. Hobby Super Iron again. And then we'll come back with the burnt iron. And do you remember how we did the exhaust before? We're going to do a slightly lighter version of that, because in my eyes, as it gets further away from the car, it won't get as hot. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But that's perfect. That's just the colour I want. Just a little bit of a burnt look to it. And we're going to use this on the discs as well. So the discs look absolutely fantastic as they were, but I think they were a little bit bright. So I thought I'll just add a little bit of colour to them with this burnt iron. And my God, did they look good when they were done. I'm not going mad. It looks like a lot's going down, but it's not. It's just giving that a slight little bit of a tint. Doesn't go far, this stuff. This is the way I spray, because I spray from distance so I don't go too heavy. And I thought it looked great. Bit of LP5 on the end of the suspension support bars, wherever they are. And then the rubber LP65 rubber black on the drive shaft gaiters as well. So much work to do on these kits. It's hard remembering all the paint codes, so apologies if I don't remember. With the suspension struts all unmasked, we're going to detail paint these little bolts here using some Vallejo silver. And these parts are lovely. Really, really nice. And then just detail parts from the other parts with some careful brush painting as well. It's nice and gentle. A little bit of LP70 gold on this fuel filler. I don't know, is it like a breather on the back of it? I'm not sure what it is, to be honest. But I thought I'm going to paint it gold anyway. So I had a little bit of interest. There we go. And just any bolts or any parts that might have a rose joint in them or wherever they are, I thought I'll just add a little bit of silver as a little bit of contrasting colour. So some nice careful brush painting, and you can do a perfectly adequate job. And it's wash time. So we've got the Tamiya black panel liner wash, the enamel based wash from Tamiya. We're going to add a few drops of it in this mixing cup, add some Sansador odorless mineral spirits, and then give everything a wash all over. So we want a nice thin wash, don't want it too heavy. So a few drops in there, give it a good mix up, then we can go to town, put a wash on everything. So you know my motto, if it'll hold a wash, put a wash in it. That's the way to do it. And as I say, and I said in the first episode, or the first 3, the washes make all the difference in making, especially the metallic parts, look a lot less monotone and a lot more interesting. It's such a simple thing to do to change the look of something that's always worth doing it. So if it can hold a wash, put a wash in it. Another fun fact, that's the wrong part. We don't need that one yet. I've got that mixed up, so we're not going to fit that today. And then we're going to go around all this rivet detail, bolt detail. We'll all hold a wash. What we do is we'll let this dry, come back in with some cotton buds with the Stansador on, and remove any excess a little bit later. But trust me, add a wash. Get some of this stuff. You probably have to buy from overseas, either Europe or Japan and the likes, because it's not officially imported into the UK. It's by far one of the best investments you'll make to building near enough any model, because it's such good stuff. It really is. It dries fast. You can put it over lacquer. I've put it over enamels, no problem at all. Even though people will tell you can't, I have. But yeah, it just adds a nice element of wash to everything. Now, this fuel filler pipe neck on the back. Looking at the real car, they have a red silicone flexi pipe about 3/4 of the way up. So I grabbed some heat shrink. Probably not as red as I would have liked it, because it's like a terracotta colour, but it'll do. Cut a little strip off. Popped it in place, had a little look, thinking, yeah, it wants to go there. And I thought, right, we'll get the heat gun. We'll heat it up, shrink it in place. A little bit off camera, I do apologise. So I am multitasking here. I'm streaming, I'm making videos, I'm building a very expensive, intricate model. So sometimes not always wary where the camera is. And there we go, there's that heat shrunk in place. And in the kit there are there's several very, very nice PE zip ties. Well, actually not, the Jubilee clips, say again. And they look fantastic, but we'll get to those in part 5. Stansador on a cotton bud, and we're going to get rid of all the excess wash. This will leave it all in the recesses, and in a lot of places just leave a nice bit of grime behind, just to take away that monotone look. But this discs look great. We've got the colour of the disc, different colour of the actual hubs themselves as well. And very nice subtle tonal differences, so happy with how these look. And again, on the suspension struts, just get rid of all the wash, and these look wonderful. Absolutely beautifully cast parts these are. And one of the weird parts I look forward to building, because I knew they were going to look good. And then getting the wash off the rear drive shafts as well, and the differential. And that's us for today. That is all the parts clean up. We'll be back very soon for part 5. We're going to put all this together and see what it all looks like. There we go. It's like I say, a lot of work done there, but they look great, all ready for assembly, and that's what we're going to do in part 5. So at the end of part 5, we'll have all that rear differential housing together, all the rear suspension, the suspension struts, brakes on, calipers on, put the exhaust system on, the 2 fuel tanks, some piping in the back, and we've got all the front suspension and discs ready to go. So that's all in the next part. And then part 6, I think we're really going to concentrate on the bodywork. I've already done some work on the bodywork. I've got footage of it there. We've managed to get all the front wings to fit properly. The back wings just need a little bit of material removing, and they should fit well. But we're going to work on the doors, the windows, the boot lid, which is going to need quite a bit of work on mine. The bonnet, the front and rear bumpers, the side skirt, and we need to just make sure everything is going to fit before even a spot of paint goes down on it. Speaking of paint, myself and Jamie, because Jamie's building this along with me, we're going to use the factory match colour, which I believe is Bianco White 210. And I've ordered this with Jamie. We've got enough for both of us from that Paint Nuts company. If you remember, I feel like Troy McClure from The Simpsons. You might remember me from such paint episodes as it's the blue we used on the 12 scale Nissan Skyline. I think it's the Moonstone blue I did on the Sierra did years ago. The blue Imperial blue on the Escort. I've used it on a multiple range of cars. Let me have a think. Where else we've used it on? The Porsche, single Porsche was that cut paint as well. It's lovely paint. Sprays really well. It cost us £24 for 100 millilitres of paint, which will, once we're thinned, it will easily have enough each to do. We just said, is it worth skimping out an extra £12 each for a 600 odd quid kit? And we thought no, so we've done that. So that's what we're going to do. We've got the proper colour there, hopefully. So bodywork's coming up in part 6. Part 5 still to come. That's filmed. Just needs a voiceover, and that is out as well. So there we are. As always, if you're watching on ISM, you're 2 weeks behind, because these are on early release on my own channel. become a patron. It's down below. You get 2 weeks early access on all the videos, as well as a weekly exclusive live stream and other perks and benefits, and the knowledge and knowing you keep all these videos and daily live streams going. Loads of other links down below to like my Buy Me a Coffee, my PayPal Me, and all ISM related UMP, my own personal modelling page, my Scalemates. Add me on Scalemates. If you want, you can look at my stash, I can look at yours. And there's also an email address that goes straight through to me. If you want to talk to me, drop me an email. I'll always talk to you back. And like I say, a huge thanks to Peter. I'm not going to give his surname out. Peter, you're a legend, mate. Very, very kind gentleman. Sent me a really nice email today as well. Became a patron. Donated the money for the Tumblr. Absolute legend. Thank you, my mate. Thank you. I really can't tell you how much it means to get support like that. It's very humbling and heartfelt, and I do appreciate your support, because that Tumblr is going to save so much bloody time. I know it is, but we'll see. The next lot of batch of parts in part probably 7 onwards will all be done with the Tumblr, so it's going to be interesting to see how much better they are. I know they're going to look better. I've seen Tumblr parts. They are spotlessly clean and shiny, and I'll save all that grub and probably save me a good 3-4 hours on cleanup maybe. We're still going to have to debar and, de-seam everything, but it's going to save a lot of faff and a lot of effort. So thank you, Peter, and for all those that continue to offer their support via Patreon and from just watching the videos as well. As always, make sure you sub to the channel, click that thumbs up, hit that bell notification to get notified of all the latest videos. Please leave a comment, whether it's on Patreon, whether it's on Facebook, whether it's on YouTube. I love reading all your comments. Got a lot of positive feedback about this build, and hardly anybody's seen it yet. Hardly anybody's seen it. It's yet to hit the main ISM channel. I think you get the first part in 6 days. So please leave any comments. Spur me on, because it'll get me through this build. Because we're just getting going in this. And once I get some paint on the body, I'm going to be a happy chappy. I'll tell you that right now. Because that's probably going to be one of the most challenging parts of this kit, is that bodywork. So a little bit of intrepidation. Is that the right word? I think it is. Coming up on that one, that we're going to get everything to fit, the doors and boot lid especially. So yes, but also on the flip side, really interested to get this right, and it's brilliant that Jamie's here to share the build with me of this. And Jamie's done a spanking job finishing his 155 and 12 scale. I will put some pictures up at the beginning of the next one to share with you, because he's built the Motherfatty Hiro Alpha 155 DTM car, and it turned out beautiful. Credit to Jamie and his skill. And now straight away he's joining me on the journey, and we're going to build this exact same kit together with a buddy build. And I've gone and roped a few other people in with Jamie. We've got Paul Lewis, who's starting the Motherfatty Hiro kit. He's done a Ferrari 512, and Ethan Philip Harford, my photo etch ambassador of window wipers, is joining in with a 24 scale kit. He had to go with the child one. He couldn't handle the big boy one. But anyway, he's joining in as well. And I know loads of you have been looking. Yes, they're a daunting kit, but it's a very enjoyable build. And even though I've got the next part of this done, the next actual model I need to do is back on that 850. I want to try and continue with this. I really do. I'm enjoying it so much. But I think we'll go back to the plastic kit for a little bit, get the next part of that out, and then we can come back with this. There we are. I've waffled on for enough. Thank you, everybody. Hope you enjoyed that video. As always, leave any comments down below. Interested to hear any feedback. And if you're thinking about getting a Motherfatty Hiro kit, here's your question for you today. If you could get one, which one would you get? And if they don't make the one you want, what one would you like? Myself and Jamie both said we'd like to see the Audi S1 and an Escort Cosworth. If they made an Escort Cosworth, I will buy it in a heartbeat. I'd sell whatever I need to sell at my stash to buy that. And I know Jamie said the same as well. So they're the two I'd like to see. Maybe a Sierra as well, or a 500, that'd be nice as well. So let me know in the comments down below. Thank you for watching today. I'll catch you all later. Goodbye.